This is section 2.3, the study guide. This section's on congruent segments. They tell you what a midpoint is here, and they tell you what bisect means, just in case you forgot. In this first part, it says use the line to name all segments that are congruent to the given segment. So we're assuming that these are all the same unit of length. So segment HM has a length of 5. What other segment on here has a length of 5? That's what we're looking for. Segment IN has a length of 5 as well. And that's the only one. Now, when you go to number 2 and you look at segment JL, that has a length of 2. So we need to list all of the segments that have a length of 2. Segment HJ definitely has a length of 2. And we want to kind of be smart about this and efficient when we're naming them so we get all of them. We don't want to name segment HJ and then jump over here and name segment LN. If we're working from left to right, we should stick with that process. Segment HJ has a length of 2, so does segment IK. So notice how I just bumped over 1 point and took a segment length of 2. So our next one would be segment JL. Then segment KM. Then segment LN. When you do it that way, you're sure that you get all of them instead of randomly jumping around and thinking and hoping that you got them all. Okay, so numbers 3 and 4 are just like that. If you can do those and follow those, you should be okay with these. Next section down, we're going to use the number line to name the midpoint of each segment. Notice how it's saying to name the midpoint. So your answer to these is going to be a letter, not a number. We're going to do number 8 and number 10. When you find the midpoint, you're averaging endpoints. So look at number 8. Point C lives at -3. Point F lives at +1. We need to add those and divide by 2. -3 plus 1 is -2, and -2 divided by 2 is -1. That's the coordinate of our midpoint, -1. So the midpoint is D. That's your answer, D, point D. Do number 10 the same exact way. Point D lives at -1, point L lives at 10. Let's average them. -1 plus 10, that's 9, and 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. That's the coordinate for your midpoint. What lives at 4.5? Point H does. Bottom exercise, we'll do 13 and 14 together, and we'll make sure that you try 15 on your own. For these exercises below, the coordinates of points P and Q respectively are given. So they give you coordinates for P and Q. They said respectively, so this is P, this is Q. This is P, this is Q. This is P, this is Q. You get the idea. Graph those points P and Q, then draw and label the coordinate of the midpoint of segment PQ. Notice how it's saying coordinate this time? That's your number. Okay, so P lives at -4. If you look at your number line, again, remember, it's really good to figure out if you're counting by ones or by twos or by halves. And that's what's happening here. You're actually counting by halves. So point Q lives at 2, that's its coordinate, and point P lives at -4. And that's this guy way down here on the end. So we found point P, we found point Q, we labeled them. Now it says draw and label the coordinate of the midpoint of segment PQ. So you better know where the midpoint is. Take those coordinates of the endpoints and average them. -4 plus 2 is -2, and -2 divided by 2 is -1. So I'm going to put an M right there for midpoint, and obviously we already have the coordinate on there. So that's how these go. So we'll do the same thing over here. It sure looks like we're counting by halves again. So point P lives at -9. Point Q lives at -5. Let's average. So your midpoint lives at the coordinate -7.